Hi, my name is Paul Beckler, and this is a guided walkthrough of a technical audio demo that I created called The Basement. I wanted to put this video together in case somebody wants to check this out without going through the hassle of downloading it. So if you just want to see the gameplay with the game audio and none of me talking, that is a separate video. I will try to link to that either fancy in the video or down below. But I actually created a separate walkthrough in the game itself, kind of as because I knew this was a tech demo, just as a way. So if you do download it, you can just hit C to open up like the commentary and then tab through, and that gives you a little bit of a guided tour as well and some kind of behind the scenes look for what happened on the tech side. But again, if you're watching this video, we're going to go through all that stuff. No need to download. So a bit of backstory on how this started in the first place. Generally, I like doing kind of audio explorations or prototypes and, just anything that feels inspiring. Sometimes it's concept art, sometimes it's animation, whatever it is. And in this particular case, the artwork is from Victoria Canning, and I've included a link to her art station, so please go check her out. She does really good stuff. She did this original piece, and I kind of felt inspired to create a dynamic ambient sort of backgrounds for it. And I wanted to use this as an excuse to try out doing audio amplitude driven lighting in Unreal, which I'd always meant to do but never really found the time. So over the holidays, I kind of wanted to take a look at that. Luckily, the folks at Unreal do great work with their documentation, and I was able to get that running in like a couple hours. So then I was like, well, let's just keep going with this thing. And ended up turning into this little bit of a game that we're showing off here. So very heavily inspired by games like Unpacking and Papers, Please, Stories Untold, and even a bit of The Long Dark. So that's really kind of my idea behind it, was sort of make a point and click puzzle based game with a heavy influence on audio and atmosphere. So when we open this up here, we should be able to see. So sorry, basically what happens right off the start is there's a fade in from the sequencer, and that will just sort of fade in from white and kind of play everything in the level. So we're in this 2D environment here with the user not really knowing what to do. So the first thing is, again, we can hit C to open up the tech notes, and all of those stars there are kind of indicators of things that you can click that will play corresponding audio. So the idea behind this was I wasn't going to have a lot of different kind of mechanics. So I didn't want the one thing that had audio to be the only thing that you could interact with, because it would kind of give away what the mechanics or the items you needed to interact with would be. So this is a little bit of a smear campaign. By putting sound on everything, it kind of hides the key elements that you need to use to sort of start the reactor. And it was also just a way to have some fun. So most of this is just me running around my apartment with a little MS mic that I have. Thank you, Aaron, for making the mini MS. It's a great sounding microphone. But I thought it was kind of fun. Again, this is sort of reminiscent of Unpacking, where there's just these kind of like nice organic sounds on everything. And then the light-driven or the audio sources that are driving light are the music from the record player. The flickering from the fire is actually driven by the fire audio. There's a little bit of a flicker on this every now and again. It happens more later. And then the generator as well will glow when it's kind of starting up. Again, the idea behind that was to give a little bit of an indication that this is a significant thing that you need to interact with. So the generator itself, I was inspired by the generator from The Last of Us, where you have to give it 3 pulls to really start it. I also felt that helped in this game because it forced, basically it would avoid the chance that the user could accidentally click on it and start the generator. You needed to kind of repeat it and know what you were doing. So the audio gets a little bit closer to starting each time that you pull it. So let's close this and go ahead and start the generator. And the cursor also changes when you're when the generator is going. It kind of is in like a busy state. And now that it's running, we can see that it's powered on the computer over here, and that starts automatically. So now we can, and basically that just set a bunch of variables, but we can click on this and that will open up the text prompt. This was a little bit of a challenge. Being an audio person, I'm not too used to creating custom materials, but I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I really like the look of what you could achieve on the text render object, which is what this is. It's not the standard kind of Unreal UI, but the downside is that I needed the functionality of the UI. So what I'm actually doing here for the text box where I need to get the user's password guess, there is actually a UI widget that's active here, but it's just invisible. But that's what's allowing the user still to click into kind of a text box and enter their guess. And it's invisible for everything except the cursor that is blinking. That is the only thing that is active from there. So you might notice it's a slightly different color than the text render. And then it's sending an event on character change that is updating a text render object that is right in that same place, or at least very close to. You can see that it's a little bit out of sync, but for the most part, I think it's still, it allows the user to click in that spot and enter their text, which is really what I'm trying to do. So basically at this point, they can enter in their guess, whatever they think that might be. And so for password validation, when the user enters a password with a length of 5 characters, the screen is going to turn red and a sound will be heard. And that was really just to throw them a little bit of a bone that, you're not sat here trying to guess any possible word. When it hits 5, we hear a sound, it goes red, and that at least lets you know the length. And my hope too is that they might then just think like, oh, is that the guess? Is that the password? Did I get it right? And that would encourage them to submit their password and hear the fail flow. So let's submit this guess, which is wrong, and let's hear what happens. So it gets close to powering up, not quite, and then we're kind of left in this lull where everything shuts down until the sequencer ends, and then everything will power up again like that. A couple of reasons I want to do that. Obviously, there's no way a reactor would like half start up if you get a password wrong, but it's fine. But one, just add a bit of dynamics and kind of movement, and that was initially what the piece had, is it just had the like kind of a failed start from the sequencer, and that was it. But my hope then was that when all the lights go out, the player might notice the constellation Orion is kind of lit up with glow-in-the-dark stars on the wall, and that clues them to the correct password. So again, incorrect password flow here. This might look a little bit long, but the reasoning behind that was I wanted to keep the individual components of the power-up sequence discrete so that I could kind of customize and tune them. So there's a lot of like play the like the mouse click sound and then wait a little bit and then do the countdown and then wait a little bit. It's maybe not I just felt it was more flexible than baking that into one sound. And then if I wanted to change it, I would have to change it for both. It just allowed me to kind of tune things on the fly. And then the only reason why this back half looks a little bit long is because I'm resetting all the variables for the computer and the generator. If you get the incorrect flow. And then in the correct one, like I mentioned, the password is Orion, and basically when we enter that, it's just going to kind of kick off the flow for the end of the game. And that is it. So thanks for listening to me ramble about this little kind of tech demo I made. I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. But let's enter the correct password and hear how it sounds. Thanks for watching.